The Haunting of Hinterkaifeck. The Farm of Death, March 1922. In Hinterkaifeck, a small, isolated village in Bavaria, Germany, the Gruber family lived on a farm surrounded by dense forests and cold nights. Andreas Gruber, the patriarch, was a hardened man from years of working the land, yet even he began to fear what he felt in the night. He had told his wife and daughter about a series of disturbing events. Mysterious footprints that came from the forest to their house but didn't return. Was someone watching them? Someone hidden in the darkness of the woods, perhaps? One night, Andreas heard heavy footsteps on the roof. Grabbing a kerosene lamp, he climbed the stairs to the attic, his hands trembling. Shadows danced on the walls as he examined every corner. There was nothing there, only an eerie, suffocating silence, thick as the darkness itself. Days later, a new maid, Maria, arrived to help with household chores. She reported feeling inexplicable chills, as if something sinister was watching her. On her first night, she spotted a cloaked figure outside the house. She called for Andreas, but when he went out, there was nothing to be found, only a sense of dread that seemed to seep into the air itself. On the fateful night, the entire family was lured one by one into the barn and brutally murdered with a pickaxe. The bodies were arranged grotesquely on the floor, as if the killer wanted to leave a macabre mark. Who or what could have killed with such fury? After the tragedy, neighbors investigating the scene were horrified to discover signs that someone seemed to be living in the house after the murders. The animals continued to be fed, and smoke was seen rising from the chimney in the days that followed. Some locals claimed they felt a dark presence when entering the property, as if the killer's eyes were still on them, waiting for another victim. The Hinterkaifeck case remains unsolved to this day. The killer was never found, and the house, burned to try to end the mystery, only strengthened the idea that perhaps the evil that inhabited it wasn't of this world. A dark entity that, attracted by solitude, turned Hinterkaifeck into an eternal, restless tomb. Annabelle. The cursed doll Donna, a young nursing student, received a Raggedy Ann doll from her mother, believing it to be just an innocent toy that would decorate her room. But weeks after the doll arrived, Donna began noticing strange things. At first, they were subtle. The doll would appear in a slightly different position from where she had left it. As time passed, it seemed to move more frequently, showing up in other rooms, standing in corners where Donna knew she hadn't left it. One night, Donna and her roommate Angie returned home and were horrified to find the doll with its arms crossed, head tilted slightly, as if watching them. Even if they tried to rationalize it, the feeling that the doll was observing them was undeniable. Soon, handwritten notes began to appear on untouched papers. The messages were short, childlike, and read, "Help us and save Lou," Angie's boyfriend. Lou began having disturbing dreams involving the doll, where he felt a heavy presence on his chest, choking him. His nightmares grew increasingly violent. On one occasion, he was physically attacked. While alone with the doll, he felt an intense pain on his back, as though invisible claws had scratched him. When he looked, there were deep claw-like marks. Desperate, Donna and Angie sought help from paranormal investigators, Ed and Lorraine Warren. Examining the doll, Lorraine realized it was not possessed by a child's spirit, but by a demonic entity. According to the Warrens, the spirit used the disguise of a child to gain the girl's trust, strengthening its connection to the physical world. After an exorcism, the Warrens locked Annabelle in a glass case in their occult museum. The case still holds a warning for anyone who dares approach it, as those who challenged the doll by touching or insulting it often met with inexplicable accidents and tragedies. Even now, Visitors report feeling an oppressive weight when near the case, as if something within is just waiting to be freed. The mystery of the Flannan Isles. Lighthouse. The sinister call of the sea. The Flannan Isles, shrouded in mystery and isolated from civilization, are a cluster of dark rocks and violent waves. In late December 1900, a supply ship arrived at the lighthouse, where 3 experienced keepers were supposed to be stationed: Thomas Marshall, James Duckett, and Donald MacArthur. But to everyone's surprise, the lighthouse was deserted. The captain disembarked to investigate. What he found chilled his blood. Unlocked doors, unmade beds, a coat left at the entrance, and a meal left on the table, as if they had left in a hurry. In the Lighthouse Journal, Thomas Marshall had written about wild winds and giant waves, where there were no reports of storms in the area. In another entry, Marshall claimed that MacArthur, a man known for his stern demeanor, was crying like a child. An unusual and unsettling occurrence. The final entry, which noted calm weather and that God is over everything, seemed paradoxical. It was as if the men had been haunted by something invisible, a presence that drove them to the brink of sanity. After their disappearance, local villagers claimed the lighthouse would light up during stormy nights, even though it was abandoned. Others recounted hearing screams amidst the sound of crashing waves when they sailed nearby. Some say that something in the sea called to them, as though the spirits of the water wanted to claim their souls. To this day, no one knows what happened to the lighthouse keepers. Were they swallowed by the sea, or perhaps by the shadows that seemed to hide among the rocks of the island? Many who dare to sail near the Flannan Isles claim to hear sounds coming from the empty lighthouse at dusk, indistinct voices and lamentations from those who seem to be forever trapped between this world and the next.